When we first saw the apartment, we couldn't believe our eyes. It was perfect for us, not luxurious, but exactly what we wanted. Most importantly, it was close to our parents, spacious, and had a great view. Our young child required a lot of attention, and the help of our parents was invaluable. The apartment consisted of 3 rooms, a pantry, and a spacious loggia decorated with wood, offering a wonderful view of the lake. The house was old, a 9-story building about 40 years old, but it was surrounded by spacious yards and shady alleys. As a child, I envied those who lived here, because my mother and I had a small and cramped apartment. Here, I felt a sense of spaciousness and freedom. My parents' house was only 3 stops away, and as children, we often walked that road, past the tuberculosis hospital, the school, the industrial zone, and finally through the yards to the lake. The quickest way was through the cemetery, but it had long been abandoned. Among the tall grass stood crooked crosses and bent fences, and on some of the monuments, you could read the names. My friend told me that her uncle, who had died at a year and a half old, was buried there. At first, we were afraid to walk through the cemetery, but we eventually got used to it. There was a sense of peace there, and it seemed like there was not a soul around. A lot has changed since then. Large shopping centers have appeared instead of department stores. New buildings have sprung up nearby, and the cemetery has been turned into a children's park. The cemetery was now a construction site. All the dead were reburied, and a chapel and a playground were built. The apartment cost exactly what we could afford, and we decided to buy it as a temporary place to live until the baby was older. The renovation was in good condition, and the former owners had left quality furniture. A double bed made of carved solid wood, a huge wardrobe with a mirror and a fully equipped kitchen. It was a great stroke of luck for us, as we were desperately short of money. In our previous rental apartment, almost all of the furniture was bought by my parents, and we bought appliances and clothes on Craigslist. The former owners, both doctors, had 2 children, but their marriage had broken up. The husband lived in the apartment alone, drank a lot, and neglected it. Neighbors said he almost burned the house down and was hiding from debt collectors, which explained the alarm system and double iron doors. We moved in and began to settle in. My parents often came to help with the baby, who kept us up at night and gave us no rest during the day. He was constantly getting into mischief. He would pinch his fingers, climb onto a high table, or something would fall on him. The parents were worried, especially after a huge mirror from a wardrobe almost fell on the child. There were no mirrors left in the house, except for the pocket mirror I carried in my makeup bag. At night I started hearing strange noises, like someone slamming doors. My parents brought a priest, but after his visit, everything got worse. The slamming of doors became more frequent, and the lights began to flicker on and off. Then we invited a mullah, and after his prayers, everything quieted down. But not for long. 6 months later, the fierce Ural winter came. My husband went on a business trip, and I was left alone with the child. The nocturnal knocking intensified. The lights wouldn't turn on, and the apartment was completely dark. I started to hear white noise in my head, which then turned into crazy laughter. I decided it was from fatigue, and was going to make a doctor's appointment. One afternoon, when I went to the closet, its door opened and slammed shut on its own. The same thing started happening to other doors and drawers. Hysterical laughter erupted in my head, and I could barely focus. The TV turned on at full volume. The lights were flickering, and I could hear voices ordering me to do something. I grabbed the baby and ran out into the stairwell. It was light outside, and snow was swirling in the air. I sat on the stairs, wrapping the baby in my robe. Not a sound came from the apartment, but I felt that something was wrong. A neighbor, noticing me, offered to help, and entered the apartment. I tried to stop him, but he calmed me down and went in. I ran outside and saw things flying from my windows. The neighbor, undressed, was throwing them out and yelling something unintelligible. He seemed mad but happy, and then he threw himself out.
Don't miss out on more thrilling stories and exciting content. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to join our growing community. Let's explore the unknown together.